thinks is right is reading from a manuscript of scientific law. Throw away the rest, but you don't need it anymore. Free for sure, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the brief. A dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means. He's lurking in the shadows and crushing all your dreams.
And never going to land. Don't believe in cryptids that leave footprints in the sand. Don't believe in spirits appearing from the dead. The only demons out there are living in your head. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the brief. A dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means. He's lurking in the shadows and crushing all your dreams. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the brief. A dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means.
It's Friday.
Hi, guys.
Donna's in the house. She's having a little technical difficulties over
At
on the
the
side
moment.
here. Her mouth. Her. Oh my God.
Her
I can't
mouth
even say it.
is
Her
not
mouse is not working,
and I'm not happy about it.
and she's freaking out. Oh man, she's trying to sync it up now. But in the meantime, we can start saying hi to some people as soon as I find my glasses, because I can't read the little rating off to the side. There's a whole bunch of people in here. I love seeing that. I'm going to go backwards. We got Teach It Forward, which is Damn It Bob. We got John Without an H. Daniel Reed's in the house. Cool Wheel. Obscure Reference Man. That's Tim Binka, the greatest librarian I know. Glenda Watt. Cat Mac. It's Date Night. Wandering Wenchy. Devon Zipper. J.R. Scary.
I'm back.
Jade Kittensen. Oh, good. You don't want to deal with that. Diane is in the house. RS Paranormal. Richard. Steph. I'm always getting hung up on your middle name there. Curvo. Queen. Is that like Curvy Queen? We got Laura B. Jerry. Teleha. Michael Burkeen's in the house. Diana's in the house. Shauna. We got a whole bunch of people. There's lots and lots. Spaghetti a la paranormal lay.
Butchered that one.
Chris Williams was in the house, but she said that she couldn't watch the live tonight. So it's good to see everyone. We do have a guest tonight. I'm excited to get to them. But before we do that, we do have to go over
the rules.
Right there. I like when it helps when I have control over it. Rule number 1 is that you are welcome to ask questions. That's what this show is about. It's a learning show. So you ask questions. I try to give you answers. If I have a guest on, they try to give you answers. And we all learn things together.
Cuervo. Steph Cuervo.
Cuervo.
Like in tequila. Cuervo.
Your name just got it. Rule number 2 is that I don't know everything, but we learn together. That's the point. And sometimes my guest doesn't know the answer to your question. So just keep that in mind if you ask a question and we can't give you an answer, at least right now. I do have my notebook right here so I can jot things down. I did do some of my homework, but I'm not going to get to it this week. We're going to wait till next week when we don't have a guest, and then we can spend some time going over some of that. Rule number 3 is that we follow the Patrick Swayze rule here, and that's be nice. You can be in the chat room and you can have a discussion about things. You can disagree about it. You can present your own arguments and your own point of view. That's fine. Just don't degrade into name calling and basically don't be a dick. Don't just be nice about it. And if it's going towards a fight, just back off. That's all. Because if you don't, Donna will take over.
Just be the better person.
She'll do the whole like grabbing both your ears and pulling you. And she'll be like, now you're both my bitches. You don't want that. You don't. Rule number 4.
Happy birthday, John without an H.
Rule number 4 is that if you do have a question for later, because as always, when we have a guest, the first hour I get to talk to them first, and then the second hour you guys have your questions asked. But you can put questions in during the entire show. But if you do, please do us a favor and put a capital Q in front of it. That way Donna can see it easier among the chat, and she can save it for the second part of the show. And rule number 5 is the most important rule of the entire show. Drink up.
Just having a little soda tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little
Nothing
soda
special.
with vodka.
Nope.
No? You sure?
Uh-huh.
Sure I didn't slip any in there?
Yeah, it doesn't
Okay.
taste like it. You weren't good at
Can
it.
you really taste the vodka, though?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yes.
Wow. I've never been able to taste vodka.
What?
Like rum and whiskey, yes. Vodka,
Yeah, no, you
I've
need to
never
drink
tasted it.
more.
Yeah, well, I do. I agree with
Yeah.
that statement. I should drink more.
And smoke up, people. Smoke them if you
Always
got them.
smoking when you got 'em. So let me switch to my special guest banner there, and let's bring on Dr. Dad. There he is. Hello, my friend.
Hey, nice
How
to
are
be
you?
here.
Oh, good. Good. Well, we'll see. We'll see at the end of the show if you're still That's so nice
Aw.
to be here. Nah, this is your second time on the show.
That's right.
Yes.
First
you were
was
on
almost 2 years ago.
almost 2 years. Yeah. It's been a while. You put out a series of books called Beyond Belief, and it was, I think, I forget how did we connect? Do you
I think
remember?
we connected online,
Okay.
and you reached out to me and asked about the books, and then we started having a conversation and ended up having me on the podcast.
Awesome. All right. So you're back on because you reached out, and I noticed when I got my fresh copy of Skeptical Inquirer, I was going through it and I was like, oh, wait, what is this? Is this a article by Dr. Dad? Like, holy crap, that's awesome. And so you reach out and you asked, like, hey, would this be a good topic? And I said, absolutely, because we're always talking about skepticism and critical thinking. And the title of your article that was published was Beyond Belief, Raising a Skeptical Kid in the Misinformation Age. And I think that we all can use any kind of tips and tricks to better ourselves with critical thinking, with skepticism in this world, because you're right, it's the misinformation age. There is so much misinformation and disinformation out there. And one of the things that I hope we get to talk about, because you talk about 3 arguments you got from parents, and one of them absolutely angered me about how they had about leaving it up to adults. And I was like, I read that, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I read that and I was like, are you kidding me? I deal with adults every damn day that do not understand critical thinking and skepticism. So it angered me, but I read the rest of the article. I loved it. And Donna even did some homework.
I did. I read it.
She read the article.
I read a few articles today. I read
That's a big
that
deal.
article. It is a big deal. I read Cat Mac's article,
Ooh,
and I read Autumn's article.
Autumn's, okay.
Yeah, I actually read 3 today.
So
Awesome.
why don't you, to start off, because it has been a while, and we have a lot more new people that have joined us since you were on last. Can you do me a favor and just introduce yourself to everyone? Like, who are you? What's your background? Stuff like that.
Yeah. So I'm a child psychologist, a clinical psychologist. I work in a hospital setting in Europe. So I live in Europe, but I work with Americans that are here in Europe.
Okay.
And like a while back, for reasons we can get into if we want to get back into it, I got really passionate about teaching children critical thinking skills and decided that this was going to be kind of my mission. And I decided to focus on writing things for kids because there were some articles about it, there was some research about it, but there really wasn't a lot for kids that was focused on critical thinking skills. And so I wrote a paranormal adventure series, like kind of a Scooby-Doo type series that has a kid hero who's like a genius at critical thinking skills. And he gets out there and he solves and debunks the mysteries with his family. And he works for an organization called Beyond Belief. And they go around debunking and the paranormal. And actually, it's sort of like a kid version of you, Kenny. As
Aw,
I'm describing it, I kind of think of this as
I
like the
know.
kid version of you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think that's
And so, yeah, I wrote one book in the series originally for my son. And it really kind of blew his mind. He loved it. And got it published, and kids started writing me saying that they asking what was going to happen next and that kind of thing. And
That's
then
cool.
2 more books in the series followed, and I'm currently slowly working on the 4th book in the series.
That's awesome. They were great. And for anyone that's interested, I think it's still the first thing. Get a free Beyond Belief story. Is that still free? It looks free.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna
yeah.
put that link in the chat so people can get a taste of what you're writing. Because it really was good. And I'm telling you, it is written for kids, but I enjoyed it.
Shocker there.
I was
Shocker.
sucked in. I know. Like I read the free version and then you sent me the book 1. And I was reading it. I was like, oh, this is good. This is really good. I like this. It's a really good mystery. It's shows the kid thinking it through, they show your
Mhm.
work. So I really enjoyed it. I think it's really, really good.
My goal with all the writing is that I wrote it for reluctant readers. So the idea is that for kids who might think that it's not that fun, if they start the story, I want to hook them. I want to hook them
Right.
in, and I want to make it an adventure to read it. And I want to make critical thinking and skepticism fun and cool.
Right. And one of the first things, if I'm asked about, like, what can we do for kids? I'm like, sit them in front of the TV, because you probably already do that, and put Scooby-Doo on. Don't put the chaotic, nonsensical cartoons that don't do anything but confuse you. Put on Scooby-Doo, and they'll teach you. They'll teach you about how to think it through and solve that mystery. Oh, I love this. So go ahead. Oh no, he froze. He froze. He froze just before the show started.
Maybe
And
he'll unfreeze.
Yeah, maybe he'll unfreeze. I think he's going to get stuck. He's probably going to have to back out and come back in. But it's all right. It happened before. We'll just wait until he either unfreezes or he backs out and comes back in.
Yeah, it's probably the weather.
Yeah. And he isn't. He said he's in Europe.
Right.
I thought, what didn't he say last time he was in Hawaii? I thought he was in Hawaii.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember. Yeah, I'm not really sure. But that is a good shot though. I'm gonna screen cap this. Wait.
Oh, you better hurry up before it goes away.
There we go.
It's a good picture of him.
It is a good picture. He looks all happy. Oh, it's just me. Look at that.
Germany.
Ooh, Germany, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think you might be right, Daniel.
Yeah. Because I remember we were trying to get him to SciCon. But
right.
it was kind of late in the game. And we already had a full schedule. Up there he is.
Right.
Let's see. Hold on. There he is.
I'm back.
Uh,
I
all
think
right.
we're having kind of a dark and stormy night here in Germany. So
Ooh.
I think
Germany.
that might
Oh,
be
right. He lives in
affecting
a
my
church. You
internet.
live in a church, right?
Yeah, right. Don't you live in a church?
I do. I live in
Very good,
an
Daniel.
old church near the Black Forest in Germany that we've kind of rehabbed into a home.
Right.
Last time
Last
we
time.
spoke, I was down in the main room,
Yes,
and
yes.
it was pretty echoey. So I'm trying something different this time.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. All right. So you what inspired you to write this article? Like, you have your books. Was that like a natural progression to like, hey, let me get this out to a different kind of audience?
So you might not remember this, but shortly after we talked, you sent me a message saying you should write something for Skeptical Inquirer. Have you ever thought about doing that? And I don't know if you even remember that, but I thought I never even thought about doing that. That maybe I should try. And so I wrote that article, and basically I'd been writing. I've been for many years. I've been working on this parenting book, so a book for parents on how to teach critical thinking skills. And so I decided, why don't I just take some of the main points from that book, like basically kind of the chapter headings, and just condense them down into an article and see if Skeptical Inquirer would be interested. If Kenny Biddle thinks that they might be interested, maybe they would.
Yeah.
Everyone else here is like, who cares what that guy thinks?
So I sent it off, and it ended up being put into the magazine. I was really,
Awesome.
really pleased with that.
That's good. Our editor, Steven, is really good about that and putting the good themes together, and it just fits in well. I mean, you saw the cover. Cool House.
Cool House Rock. Cool House
Hour Rock.
Oh, Cool Hour
I keep saying Schoolhouse Rock because it's like that's
I
what I'm
got
used
my
to.
own
There you
copy.
go.
There you go.
And I was telling my
Cool
mom
Rock.
my mom was looking at. I showed it to my mom, and I said, "I'm in the same magazine as Bill Nye."
As Bill Nye, right? I know.
So-
Kudos.
Like, I'm kind of a big deal now. Look at that.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are. I mean, it's a really good piece. I really enjoyed it, and it gave me some ideas, and I think I would like to talk about some of them. But before we get into some of the tips and tricks that you detail here, I'd like to go into what happened before, like where you started looking out and seeing like what's out there, and because you were like, all right, I need to do this, and you. What was I know you did two things, and one you weren't supposed to do and one you're supposed to do. So can you tell us what you did?
Yeah. So what I did, and this is more like a confession in the beginning of the magazine article, was
All right, let me get in the position. Go ahead, my son.
All right. So what I did was, for reasons that we talked about last time, I decided I wanted to teach my kid critical thinking skills and how to be skeptical. And I had this notion in my head at first that I would know how to do that. Like, of course I would know how to. I'm a child psychologist. Of course I would know how to do that. But then when I really thought about it and I thought about what would I actually do, I realized I had no idea. I had no clue. Like, how do you actually do that? Like, what's appropriate for a kid to really learn at what age and what activities would work? So I was kind of frustrated, and I thought there must be like a curriculum out there or a program, or like parents probably have already got this dialed in. So I went online and I started Googling it to see what's out there. And there was nothing. There was nothing. What was out there was really mostly like kind of like stuff for like becoming a better test taker, mostly. But nothing around. So like critical thinking skills for kids that were about like how to get really good scores for you're, getting into
SATs or
college.
something.
Yeah,
Oh, so more like memorizing stuff and what to memorize.
exactly.
Okay.
And then that would fall under the umbrella of critical thinking. But what I was interested in was how to help my kid navigate in a world where, like, as soon as he gets a smartphone, people are going to be bombarding him with all kinds of conspiracy theories and hoaxes and scams. And it's not going to be very long before he's going to have to figure out what to do in that kind of a world. And there wasn't anything out there on that I could find. And so I then went to, like, I can't remember if it was a Reddit forum or a Facebook group or something. And I posted to a parenting group, hey, parents, what kinds of activities do you do with your kids to teach them critical thinking skills? And I thought maybe I'll just kind of crowdsource an answer here. And what I got was the shock of my life, because it started this huge argument, but the argument was mostly, should we even be bothering to teach kids critical thinking skills? They can't even really learn it. And a lot of folks were saying, why don't you just let kids be kids? Critical thinking is for the grown-ups. And
Wow.
and then a lot of them were saying, kids just can't think critically. So don't try to ruin the magic of childhood with critical thinking. And I was blown away. And what I took away from that was, what really struck me was that was the majority opinion. The most people were sort of the opinion that, it'll take care of itself. Just give it time. You don't have to bother with it, and let kids be kids. And so as somebody who's like somebody who's trained in child psychology, who has a PhD, I realized I totally stepped in it. I did totally the wrong thing. I just went and I just started Googling stuff and asking random people on the internet to tell me what's going on. And so I did the thing I was supposed to do in the first place, which is, and this is my confession, only after that did I go and look at the actual research.
Okay.
And it
So
was once I started looking at the research, I realized, oh yeah, not only can kids think critically, they're actually really good at it.
yeah, that's been my experience. Kids are they're curious. I mean, I was
They
curious.
just want information.
Yeah, kids want to know. And I
Why,
gotta, I
mommy?
gotta say,
Why?
I gotta, like, for the whole thing about let kids be kids, leave the critical thinking to adults. Well, guess what? I'm both. Okay, I'm still both. I'm a kid. I'm a big kid. That's all I consider myself as. I'm a big
Yeah.
kid. I was at the comic book store today.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
I was buying comics because I was like, oh, look, I'm in a comic book store. Yay. And I was so excited. So that's one of the things that really pissed me off. Just seeing that, like, leave it to the adults. You can't. I mean, look at the state of our country right now. Look at America. Like, we're screwed up. And the kids didn't do it. The adults did. So I wouldn't do that. And the whole thing with let kids be kids. First, I mean, we send them to school. And is that being a kid? Like, what's the definition of being a kid? Playing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they don't go outside and play anymore.
Right. I mean, you go to school to learn. And this is critical thinking and skepticism is about learning about life and the world around us. So I think it's great. And if we're going to teach them skills about math and reading and spelling, grammar, all this stuff, put in critical thinking so that when they start growing up and they become teenagers, they don't make some of the stupid mistakes that we did. I mean, they're still gonna, but at least they'll be a little bit better informed. And when they become adults, they will become critical thinking adults and not fall for the crap that many of the adults now have fallen for.
Right.
So
I think hearing just the words critical thinking, maybe that like hit the parents like as something beyond regular
school.
learning. I think it's the wording that really did it.
You're onto something there, because I recall now that a lot of the parents were saying, well, why be critical? And this kind of, the word
Yeah.
critical
Yeah.
is like, kind of negative, right?
Right. It
So
has
Mhm.
that
maybe we need,
idea that you're going to criticize people
yeah,
and I mean, it's not always a bad thing, but
No,
yeah,
but I can see
yeah,
why the normal person or a normal parent would take it that way.
right, right. I
if
understand.
you don't know what that term means, it might
Exactly. If you're not
feel
in this
negative.
group,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe what we need is like a rebrand or something. I don't know. It's not my,
That
Yeah.
not my
you know what?
expertise.
Yeah, it's true.
I
But
don't
you
go
know,
ahead.
but like eh, the way that I think about critical thinking is, critical thinking is starting from a position of I'm going to be skeptical about things that I'm hearing, and then I'm going to like reason and use evidence to figure out what's likely true and what's likely not. And I'm going to do that on purpose. I'm not just going to be somebody who's like taking information and kind of going with whatever feels right, right? But I'm
Right.
going to actually think things through. And that's really all that critical thinking is. But I think for a lot of folks, maybe they've never even been introduced to that idea.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, like once you explain it, it makes perfect sense. Like where you're going with it. But I think it definitely had something to do with the way
Yeah.
it's
And in I have limited experience with parental groups or parent groups,
Mhm.
especially on social media. And that little bit of experience, I don't like them. Um, because I really don't like them because they
Yeah.
are a vortex of misinformation and
Tell me
just
about it.
people saying, "Oh, well, I tried this and it worked for me, so you should try
Yeah.
it." And it's all kind of like hearsay and nothing supported. It's just I heard this, I saw a commercial for this, we should try this,
Mm.
and I don't like them, and they're so mean. They can be so mean.
Oh boy,
Oh,
I could tell you so many stories about, those groups. They seem kind of clicky and maybe a little bit harmless on the surface, but like for parents who have real problems, who need real help, they go to those groups and they get sucked into like all kinds of bad things and bad information. And then down the road, they end up coming to a specialist. They come to see like a psychologist like me. And a lot of our job is like cleanup. We have to figure out how to help these families sort of disabuse them of all those ideas that they found in those groups. And so it can
right.
be a real mess.
And when it comes to like critical thinking will ruin the magic of childhood. Again, I'm going to use my own experience as when I was a ghost hunter. Like I thought it was great when you went to a place and something spooky happened. And I thought that was it. And when I started learning more and more about what I was doing, realizing I was doing it wrong, there was that was there was a little bit of thinking of like, oh, it's going to ruin everything for me. But the
Mm.
more I realized I was solving the mysteries and completing the task that I started out to do, like when we say we investigate a claim, like that implies that we're going to investigate it until we solve it. And I
Right.
had never done that before until I started
Mhm.
being skeptical, and still I started in applying critical thinking to the claims and realizing, oh, it's
Yeah.
this and it's caused this, and I solved it, and I was like, holy shit! For the first time, I've actually like completed a case, and this is
Yeah.
great. I can move on. So the magic shifted. It didn't go away. It just
Exactly.
shifted. Yeah, it was.
That is so true.
It
Oh,
was just
sorry, I
so.
was interrupting
No,
you.
no, no. Please go ahead.
I had the same exact experience with my son where suddenly like going out and like one of the things we did to build critical thinking is we would go and like investigate things, and we would go and investigate spooky places and cryptids and things like that. And honestly, investigating those things as a skeptic made it so fun because it took the fear out of it.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's like,
Oh no,
No,
no!
no, no.
Right in the
Uh,
middle of a sentence.
oh man. All right.
So we have to remember where he
You
stopped.
have to remember, he was just starting to
Suddenly,
suddenly.
his son.
They were investigating from a skeptical point of view, and it became more fun and
Boom.
suddenly something. Opposite. Oh man, I hope everyone's enjoying the show so far.
Yeah, it sucks that. I mean, he is in Germany, so
yeah, and they are having a storm, like he said. I think a storm, a dark and stormy night. That was funny how he said that. But we're gonna get to it. He's got a bunch of tips here. Oh, all right. So he just dropped out, so he'll be back in a second. Really good statue. He is doing a good job. He's such a nice guy too. Such a nice guy. But we're going to get through some of his tips here, things you can do with your kids concerning critical thinking, teach them critical thinking, and I'm excited about getting into that because there's some really good things here. And
yeah, the article gives a lot of good information.
Yeah, the article goes into the yes/no challenge. Oh, there he is. He's coming back on. Hold on, let me bring him back on. There he is.
Sorry, it's
okay.
It's a dark and stormy night here at the Church of Dad here.
The Church of Dr. Dad. All right, so you were in your story about going out and investigating.
Yeah.
We got to the point you were like, suddenly something.
Yeah. So like the thing about it was investigating these things as a skeptic for my son
Right.
made it fun because all the fear went away. Right.
Yeah.
So he could get into these things. Like when we lived in near Bigfoot country, we would go looking for like Bigfoot footprints and stuff like that and do that kind of stuff. But it made it fun when he was just like, well, I'm not going to believe it until I see it. But that made it much more like exciting and interesting and fun than going out with this idea that there is this giant creepy creature out there that could get you. Right. And approaching these things in that way, yeah, it didn't kill the magic at all. It made it a lot of fun, but without the fear.
I agree. I think that's a good way to put it. And I don't think I've ever put it that way, where there is no fear going into these houses or going out into the woods. I mean, aside from the normal fear of going into the woods with animals that want to have me for dinner. I don't have a fear that like a 8, 9, 10 foot tall bipedal humanoid thing is going to, suddenly sit down next to me and I'll be like, "Yo, what's up, Daryl?" But it's not going to go that way. I go into alleged haunted houses or even worse, the demonic ones. And I'm like, all right, show me what you got. There is no fear whatsoever going in. But I'm still excited. I'm still excited. And I think you guys probably feel that too. There's still an excitement, like we're on an adventure.
Exactly. Yeah, very much so. And honestly, when we started doing these kinds of things, I don't know how long you've had those TikTok videos on of you with haunted dolls and the Dybbuk box and all that stuff. But my son really loved those, and he really got excited watching those, and just the idea of somebody who is a skeptic having fun with these things was really cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I had the 2 channels, and I kind of went away from that one and just started doing the skeptical ones because I stopped getting people stopped sending me haunted stuff. I did get one piece of jewelry in the last like 3 weeks. Someone sent me a piece of jewelry that's supposed to be haunted, and I know that there's another object that is going to be on its way to me, and we're going to test it. So I might do some videos on that too. So we'll see. Hopefully I can get some videos for your son. So what are some things that we can do? What are some of the tips? We don't have to go through all of them because I want to leave some for people to read. Actually, should we give away?
Let's do it. Tim asked if the article was free for everyone. I
think it is.
So. Is it?
It is?
I think it is because I was able to send it out to people for free.
Oh, good. All right.
Oh, good.
That's great.
So maybe we can put the link out there.
Right. I'll have to find it. because I just see the ones that are up. Oh wait, what's that? Clear about. Oh, maybe it is here. Hold on a second. Skeptical Inquirer, Triple Beyond Belief. Next page. But we're gonna give away a magazine. So are we doing a trivia question or am I just doing a random? Okay, so before we get into some of the tips and tricks, everyone, I'm going to give away a copy of SI with his article in it. And all you got to do is type in Skeptical Inquirer in the chat, and I will cover my eyes within the next 10 seconds, and I will randomly click on a comment. And whoever pops up on screen, that's the one that's going to get it. And I also ask that you promise to try to subscribe to the magazine so that you can get other issues. So here we go. I see them starting coming in.
Yeah, they're
I'm going to start.
Give it a little time.
Give it like 5, 4, 3. Yeah, I'm going to wait a little bit, just enough. And I'm just going to run my, well, you all know I have a trackball now. So I'm just going to go like this and up and down and see what happens. Here we go. You ready? You ready? Ready?
Give it like a second.
Oh my God.
I know
1,
there's a lot
2,
of people coming in.
3,
okay, go ahead.
4.
Go. Who'd you click on?
I'm off the screen.
Oh,
There we go.
oh, figures it's not somebody that put it in.
Oh wait, I gotta pick again.
It
I gotta
is.
pick again.
They're going. Wait, you have to put it up.
All right. There. You told me to wait.
There you
RS
go.
Paranormal. There you go. All right, RS Paranormal. Send me an email. You put the email address up there, please. And send me an email with your address. Let me know that you won one of these and your address where I can send this to, and it will go out to you. So you get the first one, and I'll even put some other goodies in there. So there you go. Actually, that one's already ready, set to go. All right. So now that that's over, let's get to some of the things that you encourage, some of your tips. What can we do to help teach kids critical thinking?
Yeah, so I think about these as like things that go from the easiest to the most like involved and difficult, right? So the easiest things are, I highly recommend that parents pay attention to and get involved with kids' fascination with spooky stuff, because kids are fascinated with spooky stuff. They love the things that go bump in the night, and they love ghost stories, and they love this kind of stuff. And these are sort of the perfect things for kids to practice their critical thinking on, right? This is where they learn, right?
Yeah.
And so when kids start to talk about those things or begin to inquire about them or want to know more, then definitely show interest, get involved. And instead of just immediately saying, oh, that's all a legend or that's not true or anything like that, ask them questions that guide them to think about it. So, what do you think? How would you know? If there's a ghost in the attic, how would we find it? What would it sound like? Those kinds of things. How could we tell if it's not there? If a kid says that there's something under their bed, get the flashlight and take a look and encourage them to look with you and say, I don't see anything there. Maybe we should test this idea. Is it only there when the light's out? Maybe we can take a look with the light out. What happens then? And really encourage them to kind of test these ideas, these spooky ideas, because kids naturally gravitate to them.
And I would also encourage that if you need a little encouragement, then get your kid a Nerf gun. Then you can attach the flashlight onto your Nerf gun and then check under the bed, just in case.
Is a phenomenal idea.
Because that gives them a sense of like, all right, I have some kind of control just in case things go bad.
Yeah, give him a little Nerf gun by his desk.
Nerf gun. I mean, they have tiny ones like this. Don't question why I have Nerf guns around my office.
Right.
But
that's cool.
That's
awesome. And then you get a reason to buy a Nerf gun.
There you go.
I think that's a great idea. I thoroughly 100% support that idea. In fact, we should just do it. We should do like a giveaway. Just go out and get some of the smaller Nerf guns one of these weeks and just give away like 2 or 3 to parents and say, here you go. You got small kids. Here's your critical thinking starting kit.
Your ghost hunting gun. Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
What else can we do?
Yeah. So you kind of start there with the spooky stuff. The other thing that I recommend is to model critical thinking skills for kids, because kids, you know, in the article, I talk a little bit about sort of the origin of that term modeling. Modeling is a concept that was developed by Albert Bandura, who was a social psychologist back in the 1960s. And he conducted these really famous series of studies where he showed kids videos of adults doing something. What they were doing is punching a Bobo doll. I don't know if you ever
Oh, yeah,
read about
yeah.
this. Really famous studies, yeah. But then what happened was they just let the kids play with the Bobo doll, and they reenacted everything that they saw the adults do. And then they did it with a series of other studies and so on. And it's been replicated a bunch. It's a very robust finding in psychology. But basically, that the idea is something that parents already know intuitively, which is that kids copy what you do. So if you do something, you have just increased the likelihood that your child will do the exact same thing. So an easy way to encourage critical thinking skills is to do them intentionally out loud. So simply saying things like, I don't buy it, or I think I want to learn more about that before I decide, or I'm not sure, or that's not something I understand well, I'd like to learn more. Things like that go a long way to just demonstrating to kids and showing them, what does it really look like to think critically? What does that look like in action? And then once they hear you doing that, then they'll do that themselves.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we see it all the time where kids, they repeat stuff that their parents do or say. That's your main avenue of learning. That's your main conduit there. I mean, your little kids are with their parents most of the time, and that's who we get the most influence from. So if you aren't thinking critically, then your kids aren't going to display it either, because they're following suit on what you say and do. So I think this is a real good lesson for not only for parents to teach kids, but parents to realize that we need to change. We need to recognize what's going on and change our behavior in order to benefit our children. So wow, that sounds like grown up.
Yeah. And I would add on to that I was looking at the
psychology. I love showing the Bobo doll study. My high school students were definitely not ready to see how far kids were willing to go. There were a lot of shock noises.
This study came out of that era of studies when psychologists were really pushing people to pretty far limits. There was like the prison experiments and all that kind of thing. Anyway, but the kids really beat that Bobo doll up pretty good. So anyway, the other thing I was going to add on to that was, as kids get older and they start to move into the age where they start using the internet and social media and those kinds of things, it's really, really important to model your reactions to social media, your skeptical reactions to social media, and your critical thinking with social media, because kids need to see that modeled. It's very important. So I encourage parents to monitor and participate jointly in use of social media with kids. So that's kind of a sort of a sidebar, but it really does encourage critical thinking. The other thing for younger kids that I recommend in the article, which is really important, is to join in children's play and encourage and model critical thinking skills during the play. So grab that Nerf gun and start, hunting down Bigfoot together. And as you're hunting that Bigfoot, start asking critical thinking questions like, how would we know if Bigfoot is there? Like, what kind of
Right.
evidence would we need to see? Would Bigfoot leave droppings? Is there Bigfoot prints? What kinds of things would prove to us that Bigfoot is there so we can find him? Like,
Right.
asking those kinds of questions during playtime really helps kids to learn those things and use them outside of playtime. Because playtime is sort of like, for kids, it's kind of a laboratory. It's where they're trying out new ways of thinking and new ways of doing things and being. So if you do it during playtime, you really help them to learn those skills in a solid way.
Yeah, like when you're observing smaller. I mean, what age group are we talking? Because I'm thinking like infants to like toddler kind of thing, toddler age.
Yeah. For those kids, for the kids that are doing that kind of imaginative play, you're looking probably up to about the age of 7. So
Okay.
young kids up to about 7. Right around 7, the play.
Oh,
No.
right around 7.
Right around 7. I'm taking notes. I will say that while because he's probably going to have to drop out again and come back in. So real quick, the idea that kids can't think critically. So that was one of the complaints of the parent group. And I would encourage you guys to look up Bailey Harris and Elle Harris, and also their father Douglas Harris. They've done an amazing job with writing books, children's books, and it includes critical thinking. And these are little kids. I mean, Bailey, I think the first time we saw her, she was maybe 11.
It was her
Maybe
sister.
younger.
I thought she was
Elle
younger.
was much younger.
I think she was younger than 11, though.
I don't
I
remember.
want to say
I'll have to
like
look it up.
8.
But
Like,
she
I
was
think she
on
was young.
stage at SciCon. So on the main stage in front of almost 1,000 people, telling her story about growing up in like the Midwest USA, America, in the Bible Belt kind of thing, and not having a religion and dealing with that. So when people say that kids can't think critically, Bailey Harris and Elle Harris are prime examples of that's bullshit. They totally can. All right, he's back. There he is. Yay!
Yes.
So
yeah.
We were at age 7.
Age 7. Yeah. That's typically when that kind of imaginative play where they just really get immersed in like another world. That's typically around the age where they start to outgrow that and their play becomes more focused on games and rules in the play. And so things start to shift. But yeah, in those younger ages up to around 7. And for some kids, it goes all the way up to 9 and 10. Developmentally, kids, there's like a range right there. So, but I encourage parents to follow the child's lead in the play. So if they're out there and they're tracking a jackalope, you're going to track the jackalope with them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's fun. And I like the ideas that you were given. Like go out there and ask questions. Like what are we supposed to be tracking? Like how would we know if there's a Bigfoot or a jackalope? You know, like what signs? And I was really thinking you were gonna go Bigfoot poop. I thought you were gonna say I was
Bigfoot poop would be good, yeah. How can we tell if it was Bigfoot poop? Do you need to smell it? Like we gotta do. Yeah.
Squish it. Like what's I'm all about the squishy.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, I mean that's great, and I think that's a good exercise to get kids out and talk to them. I remember like when our son was young, and he was probably around like 7 or 8 when I took him to not White Hill Mansion, but the one
Selma.
in Selma Mansion, and I got access to this allegedly haunted place by myself, and because I specifically asked, like, I want to go there and check the place out. I want because there's certain videos people claiming are ghosts and stuff. So I went there and took my son, and we did exactly what you were describing. I said, "All right, Connor, like this is the claim. what do you think caused this? And he would go look around and be like, all right, well, there's trash bags over the windows. Is there any glass? And we'd see the trash bag like move back and forth.
Blowing.
He's like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's closed. I think that might be a broken window. We would go look. He's like, oh, well, that would make noises and that would do this.
Yeah.
He's like, doesn't that close our bedroom doors at home? And I'm like, damn, boy,
Yeah.
just
There
my
it is.
boy.
It's like,
There it is.
I
Yeah.
love it.
yeah, they
love it.
know more than we give them credit for
Yeah.
sometimes.
And I was saying why you were on your storm break, that Bailey Harris. I don't know if you know Bailey Harris.
I know Bailey and her sister Elle.
Elle.
Yeah, Elle. Yep.
I was recently reminded because our friend Melanie Teresa King just talked to them and brought me up, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I miss them. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Elle's been on this show twice with her
Cool.
father, and awesome young lady. So
I should say I don't know them. I've never met them. I don't know them personally, but I'm big fans of what they do. I think they're super cool. Yeah.
really, really cool. And just that they are able to describe growing up, because I was describing like they grew up in like the Bible Belt, and
Yeah.
they grew up without religion, and it was a struggle with their friends. And Bailey in particular had a real struggle because not only her friends, but the friends' parents had problems with it. And I mean, she was up on stage at SciCon in front of everyone talking about her I don't want experiences. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, she got emotional, but because it was very difficult. But I mean, she powered through. She knew exactly what she was talking about. She knew how to deal with it. And you got to give kids credit that they do know how to think critically. They do it by accident so many times.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to help them recognize, like, this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I just think she was a perfect example, along with her sister Elle. So awesome. All right, so we got a couple minutes. So can we get one more kind of tip?
So I kind of saved the best for last, which is to do the thing that you were just talking about, which is what I call a critical thinking field trip.
Ooh.
Which is where you go somewhere where there's like a paranormal claim, something supernatural's happening. There's like some cryptid or something, and then you do an investigation together. So you go on a trip to get kind of outside your comfort zone to go someplace where this is happening. The first one that I did with my son was we went and visited one of these gravity hills, which is, it's like a hill where it looks like you're rolling uphill.
Yes.
And then, we got there and it was like, we had to find it. We went to this little town in Washington and we couldn't figure out where it was. There was like no really good map. We went to this pizzeria and asked them, where can we find this? And they told us where to find it. And then we went there, and while we were there, he figured out what was going on, which was that the hill was really slight and it wasn't totally all downhill. And the wind was lashing. It was like a high plain in Washington.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the wind was lashing. And he said, and we were in the car and he said, I think it's the wind that's pushing our car. I bet if you opened your car door, it would act like a sail. It would push us faster. And I was like, okay, well, let's test it. So I opened my car door and it totally worked. We started going faster and faster.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
And at that moment, he was like hooked, right? He wanted to go on these all the time. And so he actually went back he wanted to go back to the pizzeria in the town and tell them. So he went back and he explained what happened.
That's good though. That's
good.
Great. Yeah, because it also teaches them to stop and ask questions. Like,
Yes.
if you're not sure, you don't give up. Stop and ask somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that made him more excited to go back and tell the story.
He was so excited. So, and we've been doing these periodically on and off for years now. He's now 14. And this past summer, we had our most epic critical thinking field trip of all, which is we went back to the States from Europe and we took a cross country road trip, just him and I. So we went to visit my family in Indiana, and we stayed with them, and then we drove across the United States. And he helped plan the itinerary to visit all of these spots where there's all this cool stuff to
Nice.
investigate. And we saw all this cool stuff. And like we went to Waldrug, where they have all that. I actually have a picture of, I'll show you a picture of, well, this is a picture of him with some haunted dolls.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. But we went to Waldrug, and he got onto the jackalope there.
Oh, nice.
That's great.
Yeah. And so we just went across the country looking at all of these like wild places where there was different stuff going on. And it was a great chance to like visit family, but also to kind of continue the legacy that we started when he was little. And now it was really a lot more fun because, he was kind of guiding me this time. Like we would go to these places and he would kind of debunk things all by himself. And he would just sort of like pick things out that was like, oh, that doesn't make much sense. We saw, everywhere we went, we found those Zoltan machines.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They're everywhere. So we found them in Waldrug in South Dakota. We found them in Yellowstone. They were in Arizona. They were in Las Vegas. They were everywhere. And we ended up going to them, and he would like get a little fortune. He would pay to get a fortune. And then he would be like, yep, it's a Barnum effect every time.
Great.
It's great that he even knows Barnum.
Yeah, I mean, I have some of those on my shelf over here because I do the same thing. I actually have one from the Zach Baggins Zoltar machine.
Yeah, and then this is where we ended.
Roswell.
Roswell.
I'm
Nice.
so jealous.
God,
I
we
am so
haven't
jealous.
even been there yet.
Yeah, we ended up in Roswell, and there wasn't really anything to investigate there, but it was kind of fun because it's kind of it's like a UFO tourist destination. So it's UFO everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Like they have a
Kind of like
museum.
the Area 51
and a
thing
thing.
that we did probably.
Yeah, we went to Rachel, Nevada, and did the Area 51 thing, and it was like Rachel, Nevada is it's not even a dot on the map. It is so tiny. It is basically a small restaurant / gift shop, and then a little hotel, and that's it. There's nothing else in the town. But we went. It was fun. It was the first time I heard a sonic boom in person. Because it happened while we were there.
Yeah, we were in the middle of
Scared
nowhere.
the shit out of us. But it was great. I loved it. This has been awesome. All right, so we are going to go on our break. Should we give away the other one, or
Let's wait till we get
let's
back.
wait to the other one? Okay, so we're going to do our commercial break, which is about 4 minutes long, and then when we come back, we're going to get into viewer questions, which means you guys in the chat. We have a bunch of questions that are already in the queue, but if you have a question for Dr. Dad, be sure to put a Q in front of it, capital Q in front of it, and that way Donna can pick it out, put it in the queue, and we'll get to it in the second hour. So,
And when
that
we get
said-
back, we'll give away the second magazine.
we'll give away the second issue of SI, so you guys can read and have an actual physical copy, because I like digital, but physical copies are still the best. I don't care what anyone says. That's probably the one thing I'm going to be closed-minded about is that physical copies are the best. I love them. All right, so everyone, we will see you back here in 4 minutes and 9 seconds from now.
And now for something completely different.
Welcome, my fellow skeptics. Welcome, one and all. I am the chief investigator. Oh, come along, old chap. We will have a ball. Now, if you will excuse me, it's time to open the mic. Good night. Good night. Can you get over me? Investigating's my game, and I will have at it. Quid pro quo. As the head of this committee, hunting for ghosts can be shitty, but there is no a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and have some questions, alright. Maybe you might find an answer or two. I will find the truth this night and day. And if my name is not Kenny Biddle, then I assure you here I will not stay. Good day! Kenny Biddle's the name, goes hunting's the game. I won't let anything get in my way. Too many fakers out there, too many chefs, too many toe tappers, none of it makes any sense. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and ask some questions, alright. Maybe you might find an answer or two. Who knows? There may be ghosts in the machine, but trust me, I am not so keen. I prefer to see these things clearly, not in 144p. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let's open mic night. Yeah, yeah. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let's open mic night. Yeah. If you have an answer or two, let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. Let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. The one and only Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle.
Dun, 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 dun.
We lost Dr. Dad.
I know. I was trying to entertain everyone. Let's give away a magazine.
Yeah, let's give away a
Let's
magazine.
give away a magazine. All right. Once again, here you go. What you're going to do is you're going to type Skeptical Inquirer in the chat, and I am going to randomly pick someone without looking, and at least try to get it on the comment section. And whoever's comment comes up on screen, if it says Skeptical Inquirer, no matter how it's spelled, because I know you UK people are weird.
It doesn't matter the
then
spelling.
you will get an issue. But there's Dr. Dad. He's coming on.
So
So I
type
got a
in
second.
Skeptical
Type in
Inquirer.
Skeptical Inquirer, and we will randomly pick somebody. There he is. Let's see. Oh, it's starting. I see somebody started doing it. So we'll
Yeah,
give
you
it
gotta-
a second or two, and I will start going through. I'll give it like count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, you should be
7,
good now.
8, 9, and 10.
Clicked in the middle
Crap.
of
I
everything.
clicked all of them. Wait, do it again. Wait.
Hurry up. Kent
Anderson.
Anderson.
Woohoo!
Good
All
job,
right.
Kent. I know you put it in there many times and we told you you're loud, so you go. Never give up.
Never give up. Never surrender.
Let me put Kenny's banner up.
Did you write that down? You got that? Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Kent Anderson.
Kent Anderson. All right. Good.
Got it.
All right.
Just send your information.
Yep. Send your information to me so I can get it out to you Monday morning. I will put it in the mail and it will be on the way to you, and you will enjoy it and read it and love it. And you will say, oh my God, I love this magazine so much. I'm going to subscribe.
Yes.
I wish you guys could see her sometime because she's like, yes. Okay. I don't know what else to say. Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. Dr. Dad is back, and we're going to do some viewer questions. So this is all up to Donna. Donna's going to put some questions up, and we're going to take them one by one, and we'll see how it goes. Jade Kitten, for Dad, don't you live somewhere odd? Or something.
Yes, I do. I live in Germany, and I live in southern Germany, a little bit north of where the Black Forest is.
Okay. How'd you end up there?
I actually work for the U.S. military, so you can imagine that there are military bases around in Germany, all over Europe, and there are a lot of families, American families.
Okay.
And that means that they need doctors, they need pediatricians, and they need child psychologists. And that's what I do, is I work to serve those families.
Awesome.
Very
That's
nice.
Awesome. That's very cool. All right, good. Teach forward. Dr. Dad, what is the one challenge you experienced with your son as it pertains to critical thinking? Example, I'm not even going to try that name, a.k.a. Father Christmas, or problems he may have had with friends because of things he's questioned, etc.
Okay. Yeah, this is somebody who knows some German. Yeah, so I'm trying to think of the problems that may have come up. I think, if anything, the biggest problem has been that, and you kind of allude to it there, that he gets so excited about debunking things and using critical thinking and being skeptical, that when he was little, now he's much better at it, but when he was little, he didn't understand that some beliefs, if you're skeptical about them very publicly, some people feel it's rude, and that you can accidentally, be, insulting to somebody. My feeling about it at the time was, I'm not going to teach him about that. I want him to I'm going to reinforce those behaviors so much that, he's going to learn to moderate them. But the whole world, I felt, was kind of keeping him from broaching those topics. Mm-hmm. And I felt like it was okay if he said something, like, for example, we had a friend who was seeing a homeopath. And my son was 8 years old, and this friend was describing what they were doing, what the treatment was. And he said, that sounds like pseudoscience.
Wow. That's
and
great.
The friend was just like, well, he's a doctor. And he was kind of offended. He was, sensitive about it. And, and I didn't address it. I didn't address it with my friend. I didn't address it with him. I just kind of wait to see how that would play out. And my son, he learned how to stay skeptical and to express it appropriately over time. But there were some moments where he crossed lines, and he needed to kind of figure out how to express it in a way that didn't hurt feelings.
Right. And for me, I went through the same thing. Learning how to approach it, learning how to be respectful to the general audience, not always. And I'm trying to say this right. Not always to the person that you're talking to, because I have found over the years, if somebody described, like your example, and somebody described a procedure that was pseudoscience, if someone would go to them or was listening and say, "Oh, that's great, that's awesome," there would be no problem. That's right. Somebody expressing an opinion, but it's when the challenge comes, like when your son said, "Well, that sounds like pseudoscience." Now you invoked an emotional response because it was a challenge, and now all of a sudden it's bad. And that's what we see a lot. And sometimes, like, I understand, like, all right, you have to learn how to navigate this path, because now you're on this path and you just hit a roadblock. Like, how do you get around it? Sometimes it's good to back off. Sometimes it's good to just have a friendly discussion. Sometimes it's good to just stand your ground and say, you know, it is pseudoscience. You know, like the evidence doesn't support it. So what do you have to support it? And that's how I would approach it. Like, everything that I've read goes against it. So I'd love to hear what you have that supports this working right. You know, let's have a conversation about this. So I get that. And it's, especially when people say it during,
well,
like,
especially when you're 8. I mean, you don't expect an 8-year-old to say that to somebody.
I know, that's even
exactly. Exactly. And I think that's part of the reason why he was so sort of shocked. He was like, you know,
because he was shocked to begin with.
Yeah, it was a shocking thing, but it was exactly the kind of thing that we had talked about a lot, you know. So he was very familiar with the idea of homeopathy. He was very familiar with all these things. We had made homeopathic hot sauce together. We had, like, you know, at home, we had done this experiment
so cool.
where we followed the recipe for how to make homeopathic medicine, but we used hot sauce. And then at the end, you end up with this jar of water that, if the homeopathic theory is right, it should be even hotter than the original hot sauce.
More potent.
And so we make it, and then at the end of it, he, like, drinks it down, you know, like, so he learns that this stuff is bogus. And for him, like, it was nothing at all to say, that sounds like pseudoscience, and wouldn't be offensive in our home, but he had to learn that for some people it can be offensive.
Yeah. Good. All right. Moving on. Dun, dun. John without an H. Based on your experience, how does belief in conspiracy theories among average people in Europe compare to that of the United States?
That's a tough one. I feel like, you know, I feel like that's hard, because I would say that there are definitely a lot of people in Europe who do believe in conspiracy theories, and it is an issue here, just like in the States. I feel like, and this may just be kind of a bias from where I am, like, I'm in this very sort of rural area. There's not a lot of busyness or anything, you know, it's not like an urban area or anything like that. I feel like there's just not much going on with that. Like, there aren't many conspiracy theories. People aren't, like, acting out for conspiracy theories or anything like that. Whereas in the States, I felt like it was just much more common, and people shared and believed these things much more. In fact, recently I was posting some sort of joke about conspiracy theories online, and I got so much, like, people with hurt feelings about they saying, well, some conspiracies are true. And it's sort of like, you know, it's something where people get really, like, they get sensitive about it. It's sort of like the guy with the homeopathic medicine. They feel like, don't touch my conspiracy theories.
Right.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, in Europe, I don't think it's quite the problem it is in the States.
Okay. Yeah, I think people do develop that emotional attachment to that belief. And when you challenge it, even a simple challenge, it is seen as a personal attack.
And that opens up a whole can of worms right there, what you just said, because I think that's really the issue deep down, is that what happens is, and this is why skepticism is so beautiful, because what it allows you to do is to separate yourself from the belief. Like, who you are as a person is different from the belief, and now you can kind of interact with it and start to test it and see if it's true or not. Whereas I think with a lot of the things that people who are conspiracy theorists and pseudoscience folks, or people that believing these kinds of things, they tend to identify their very sense of self with the belief. And so this is one of the things
good way to look at it.
This is one of the things that I don't know if I emphasized it directly with my son, but it's definitely one of the lessons that we try to teach him, was that you are not what you think. you are not what you believe. Your beliefs can change, your thoughts can change, but who you are is the one that judges those things. And that's separate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something a lot of people just never kind of get.
Wow, that was beautiful.
That was
That was
a good way to
beautiful,
put it.
man.
Like, it
Good
was
job.
a great way to put it.
Good job. All right,
Put that in one of your parenting books.
Yeah. that's got to be there. Well, this is automatically recorded to YouTube, so you'll be able to reference it. Say it exactly how you said it. That's awesome. All right.
But it's true, and it goes, I mean, that's perfect for you being a skeptic, Kenny. I'm looking
Yes.
at Kenny because,
Oh, she's looking at me.
well, no, because I mean, you know, people
Right.
say, oh, he's a skeptic, and then all of a sudden it's like that whole person that you are is all gone. It's
Right.
everything becomes the
Right.
fact that you're a skeptic.
So many, yeah, you don't see the I'm gonna totally talk about my stuff, like
Well,
the fun side. Like,
it's just an
I
example.
try to be nice. I try to have fun. I try to get along with everyone. I mean, but you don't see that as soon as someone labels me the skeptic, and especially with the tone.
Yeah.
You know, when you add that tone of voice,
Yeah.
like, oh, he's
here's
just
the
a skeptic.
skeptic. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that damn
Right.
skeptic again.
Yeah. It's like with the critical thinking. Like we need kind of
Yeah.
a rebrand or something. Like there, skepticism and critical thinking are actually like a lot of fun,
Mhm.
and they're kind of joyful, I think. But
Right.
people just don't get that, and they think of it as something cynical or negative.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. All right. Let's go. Got a lot of questions.
I
What
think
is
we
your
hit this one already.
Chris? What is your background and how come? How come you're so nice?
Well, my family's watching, so the reason I'm so nice is because my family. I come from a very good family, and from the Midwest in around Indiana and Ohio. Great
Okay.
people. So as far as my background, I grew up in Ohio, and then pretty shortly after I graduated high school, I left, and I kind of never stopped going on adventures. I left for Alaska, and I worked in the fishing industry there, in the fishing boats.
Cool.
And then I was going to stay there for one season working as a fisherman, but then all my plans got wrecked because I met a girl, and
Oh, that always
and then
happens.
Always the
and
case.
then and then that's when the real adventure started. So I married her, and then we've been traveling the world ever since.
That's awesome.
Awesome. All right. What else do we got here? Did you show them the Milgram studies, Daniel Reed?
No, I did not.
What are they?
Are you talking about my son? Are you talking about
This
I don't
was.
know.
I'm kind of wondering. So for
Oh no!
No. Damn you, Germany.
Like, damn you, weather.
Damn you, weather. It's all right.
Daniel says that was for Bob.
That was for Bob. Oh, okay.
All right,
All right.
we'll move on. Sorry, Daniel.
Wait, was there a Q in front of that?
No, there wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I just
I
saw it
can't
as a
yell at you.
question and thought somebody forgot it.
Okay. It's Daniel. He knows better. He knows to put a capital Q in front of it. Let me see. Oh, what's this? Kenny made me a skeptic, but I still believe. It's crazy. I don't believe in ghosts from my childhood. Thanks to Kenny. Oh, well, you're welcome, first of all. And, you can believe what you want to believe. I like you can hold on to your beliefs. And I always say this, like, I'm good with personal beliefs. Like, your personal beliefs are yours. And, if you want to believe in God or Cthulhu or, the Force, whatever, that's up to you. It only becomes a topic of discussion when someone tries to force your beliefs onto somebody else. When you try to preach and tell people they have to believe, or some punishment or something like that. Like that crazy guy that was over at UB Remember that when Melanie
Yeah,
was here? He was preaching.
yeah.
He was yelling at all the women,
Just
telling
don't
them,
push them on others. That's
yeah,
right. I
I
mean, that's
really wanted to tackle him. I just wanted to tackle him so
yeah.
bad. I think I would have gotten a cheer too. All right, Dr. Dad's back. There he is. Hey there.
Hey.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that last question was actually for someone in the chat, so you don't have to go there.
Okay. All right. So Cree Storm. I always felt my job as a parent was to guide, not solve a problem. My sister loudly disagreed. I felt it has helped them as they got older. Why do parents have a problem with this concept?
That's a really good point, a really good question. I think that it's kind of hard to answer because I think parents have different motivations for why they become problem solvers instead of um, helping kids to solve their own problems. But I mean, when you think about it though, as parents, like one of the things about being a parent is that you're constantly solving lots of little problems, right? Like, where's the lost shoe? I got to get them to finish breakfast so I can get onto the bus and get them to school. Like, there's always like this logistical like load, right, of solving
Right.
problems. And I think for some parents, they might not know when to turn that off. So, like when a kid has a problem that is within their own grasp to solve, some parents might not know now's the time for me to back off and support them in figuring it out.
Yeah.
And that can be a real tough thing to do for some parents too, because especially if they're maybe a little anxious, they might want to just solve it because they don't want to deal with the child's like difficulties
Yeah, or
in school.
anxiety around
Right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It reminds me, like the stuff like this. I totally agree. Like there's a point where in the beginning you have to do these things. You have to solve the problems because they are simply not capable of doing it. They haven't learned enough. They haven't had the experience, or they're not physically capable of solving a problem. And it is a time constraint too when you're trying to get them ready for school and get them out the door and this and that. But I agree. There's a time where you have to start backing off and letting them figure it out. Sometimes you got to let them fail in order for them to learn and to gain that experience to understand what the failure means and what success means from learning from that experience. And it always takes me back, ironically, it takes me back to Footloose, where in the movie at near the end, when the preacher is up on there and he finally comes around and he tells his congregation, like, if we never start to trust our kids, how will they ever become trustworthy?
Yeah.
Like if we don't start letting our kids learn for themselves, how are they ever going to learn when they go off like on their own?
Yeah, and it is hard. I mean, you to this day, you're always telling me, like, let him figure it out, let him do it himself. About our son, he's 22 years old. But as a parent, you want to give them the information.
And that's how I see it. Like I'm giving him the experience. I want him to figure it out. Like I will help him. I will guide him, especially if he hasn't done it before. But at least take the chance. Like take a look at it. What do you see? What do you think you should do? And how would you go about it? And if he is on the right track, I'm going to let him go. If he is off the track and is going to do it wrong, it depends on how expensive the repair is. If I'm going to let him go, I'm going to let him still fail in order to learn. But I don't mind guiding, but you still have to back off and let them learn on their own. So yeah, that was a good question. Obscure reference man. That is Tim Binga, our awesome librarian. Got suggestions for some books for kids and teens? I did a biblio.
Oh my gosh, Kenny.
What's that
Bibliography.
Thank you for SI in 2009, and was embarrassed as to how few I could find. And I have not been following this area for a while. So yeah, any good books?
Good books for like critical thinking, skepticism, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Is
I
Go ahead,
my
do
own
it.
there you go.
Wait, hold on, I did this last time, Melina. So there's always these.
There you go.
I just happen to have copies right here. Um, but there's a wonderful book series. I can't remember the name of the author, but the Annabelle and Aiden series for young children, and they are just phenomenal. I really love them. The first one came out right around the time that my son was just old enough, just starting to age out of them. But they were so beautiful that we got them all anyway. And
Oh, nice.
the author is coming out with another one soon. But I think
Right.
there's a series of like 6 books, and they address questions that kids have, like where do we come from? What happens when we die? Like there's really profound questions that kids ask, but it answers them through like a scientific approach with just critical thinking, reason, in a way that's kid friendly. I would highly recommend those. J.R. Becker.
Yeah.
J.R. Becker.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
good. He's probably looking at him.
I'm gonna also chime in and just like from my perspective, like I love and this
Oh,
might be
here,
old
Cat
fashioned
Max right there.
and corny.
She's got
There you go. There you go. Yes. Nancy Drew and the
Oh
Hardy
yeah, Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. Yeah.
I love these as a kid. I read them constantly, and I'm starting to build my collection again of these.
And you
these
know what?
series.
I've never read them. That goes to show you the
Oh my
difference
goodness.
between you and me.
Yeah, I read these
There
as
you
a
go.
child, and I absolutely love them. They just show piecing it together and just learning how they figured out the crimes and the mysteries and the murders and all that stuff. Like beautiful. Magic Treehouse, that's a good one too.
Magic Treehouse. Yeah. Why did I not think of that? Yeah.
That's good. So yeah, Tim, if we want to get some,
Oh, he just
I
said
can
Donna
tell you
has a new
exactly-
project.
Donna has a new project. I do have several. I have about like 10 or so of each. And I know that this is number 45. This is number 29. So, Encyclopedia Brown. Yes. Oh, yeah. These are good. All right, cool. What do we got next? We're good. We got some good
All right.
questions.
People be putting stuff up. Hold on.
All right.
This is a question for you.
Inquirer is available in audio format now too. Yes, it is. So most of them are now. That's Eric behind the wall. He's been working on that. So it's the Skeptical Inquirer audio edition. You can probably find them in most of your podcast apps. I guess that's what they were be called. You can find them, but if you can't find them there, you just go to Skeptical Inquirer, and it will be on either on top of the header picture, the top picture, or right below it, right below the title. It's a green banner, and it'll have it. So I'll show you right now what it looks like, because I have it here. Because I happen to have his article up, but you can see there's the audio edition.
You have to take your thing. Going across the top.
Yeah.
I see it.
So
it's like
you just
strolling.
go right to the site
Scrolling.
and you click play, and it will play it, and you'll hear. I think we can. They won't be mad if I play it. Let me know. Can you hear that?
No.
Okay. Let me see. Let me stop and try to share it again, because sometimes it will not. Let me see. Entire screen. Oh, also share audio. That's what I wanted to do. There we go. So now we'll try it again.
Beyond Belief, Raising a Skeptical Kid in the Misinformation Age by Ronald Crouch, from the January-February 2025 issue of Skeptical Inquirer.
All right. So there you go. And it's on most, I think Eric finished up every article published this year.
Oh, wow. That's good. Okay.
I know he was on a race to finish it by the end of the year. And I think he made it. So yeah, there's tons.
You mean last year's?
If it was published in 2024,
okay,
then it's on an audio edition. So, and he's working backwards. But there you go. That was the first audio edition I played on this show.
That's good.
All right, Kenny and Dr. Dad, what's the one thing in the paranormal world, if there is such a thing, that you wish was real?
Oh, wow. Oh, hmm. For me, aliens, for sure. Aliens, because it would. I think there probably are aliens somewhere, but it would be really neat if they were actually visiting. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool, especially if they had a spaceship that I could drive. That's what I want to do. I just want to. I want to be like, yeah. I want to do the whole like engage. Patrick Stewart, it's like engage, or just go up there and hit the button myself. It'd be great. All right, cool. That was an easy one. Good. Dun, 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 dun. RS Paranormal. Hey Doc, will you be my dad?
Aw.
That's so nice. That's so nice.
I'll be an honorary dad. Yeah.
There you
There
go.
you go.
There you go. We get some weird people. I love you guys. Carl says, Kenny, question: who were both of your paranormal influences back in the day? Back at my paranormal influences back in the day. I didn't. You know what? I would say the one was Charlie Adams. He's an author.
Yeah.
And he wrote regional ghost story books. So he would
Out of
travel around.
Pennsylvania.
Like,
yeah. New Jersey.
Philadelphia, Cape May. That's the first.
The first few, yeah. And then he branched out.
Was it Lehigh Valley? I think it was Lehigh Valley Ghost Stories. Or some. No, that's my
That
book.
was your book.
That's my book. But yeah, there was a story about Matthias Schambacher, who was like a ghost from a grave, and it caught my attention, and I loved it, and I started collecting his books. So I actually based a lot of my locations on his books. I would just go to the locations and check it out. But that's about it. And I guess if you want to say, like, as a ghost hunter, that's my disclaimer. Mark Nesbitt, because I went to Gettysburg a lot too, and I did the same thing. He wrote a lot of Ghost of Gettysburg books, so I went to a lot of locations based on his books. So there you go. That's good.
Does Dr. Dad have one? Oh, it was just for you.
Yeah, I don't know if you're paranormal.
You know,
I don't think
when I was in middle school, I read Chariots of the Gods.
Oh, there you go.
Eric von Däniken, yes.
I thought that was pretty cutting edge stuff when I read it.
I read that too, and I was into it because I was still in my ghost hunting phase, and I was like, oh wow, yeah, that Mayan that carving really does look like a spaceship. He does look like a pilot with controls and pedals. And now I look at it, I'm like, I was such an idiot. Oh my goodness. That was good. Eric von Däniken. Oh my God. All right. Carl again. Have you both ever done an article on what makes a believer or a skeptic? I have not.
Neither have I. I've never done that.
I mean, I think what makes a believer is maybe your influences growing up. I mean, because you get a lot of your influence, your core knowledge first comes from your parents, your family. You know, as you're growing up, they're telling you what's real and what's not. And then you go to school, you have friends. And then maybe if you're already if your family is already into a religion, you are usually pushed into that. So I think that kind of makes you a believer and stuff. And if it goes unchecked, who knows what you believe in. I think the skeptical kind of thing, same way. Like if you can start out that way. If your family does not, and I mean that the Harris family is a good example of that. Bailey and Ella, I mean, they grew up without religion, so they have that where they're more skeptical from the start. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's true for a lot of things. Like, and I think it would really come down to when I think about like.
It's always storing a point.
Yes.
He's always during a point.
Ah.
What it comes down to.
What it comes down to. All right. We have to keep that question up there. And I will say, like, there's differences along the way too, because I see like Cree says that, you know, like, not her, that her parents, both her parents were like me, but no idea what is spirituality. And it might be influences. Again, it's not you start with your parents. I think you start with your parents and extended family, because they're the ones you probably have most contact with from birth, and then you develop social circles. You have your own friends. You start, especially when you get into teenage years, you start rebelling, because I know I did. I did hard. But you rebel against what you might rebel, or you might embrace different concepts because your friends are into it. So you get into it. And again, I don't know, like, this is not specific to Cree, because I don't know your story, but I'm just I'm brainstorming here. That you have these friend circles and social circles, and you start developing different ideas.
I got you.
And oh, there it is.
There
he is.
I just keep disappearing like a ghost.
It's all right. It makes it entertaining.
Says what it comes down to
Is
Oh,
and then
okay,
you
yeah.
froze.
And then I froze. I was leaving you hanging. So I think what it comes down to is, like, do the people around you, are they focusing on the beliefs themselves, or are they focusing on how you get to the beliefs themselves? Like, in other words, are they sort of like, okay, we're a family that believes in, like, ancestor worship, right? We always have, we always do, we have since we were little, and everybody does, and that's just who we are. Or is it a family where we say, well, this is something you can believe, but why do we? Why is this important? Why should we believe that? I think you're more likely to become a skeptic if you're able to have that questioning, and the process of how you come to your conclusions is what's emphasized.
Yeah. And I mean, I was raised Catholic, so I was raised in, well, half my household was religious. My father wasn't religious, but my mother was, and she certainly made up for my father's lack of religiousness. And I turned out the way I did. But I think it really has to do with the different influences and stuff. And I mean, I had another point to bring up about in relation to Cree's comment, but now I totally forget it.
Yeah.
But we can move on to the next. And if it pops into my head, I'll just start talking. Because that's
this is RS Paranormal.
Thanks, Doc. Kenny, I am not weird. He is sweet, and my real dad was a meanie when I was growing up. Oh, I'm just kidding. We're all weird, so don't even deny it, RS Paranormal. All of us are weird.
I think you're the good kind of weird.
Yeah.
Weird is normal.
Weird is normal here. Yeah. I mean, look at me.
Normal is weird.
I'm sitting in an office with tons of books, paranormal stuff, wearing a Superman shirt.
What's the definition of normal? Did we ever look that up?
Did we?
I don't
Yeah, we did. It was
we?
like a standard.
Like, who falls
great
into that
Google.
category?
Define normal. So normal is defined as conforming to a standard, usual, typical, or expected. So yeah, unexpected stuff. We're not. I don't think
I
we.
guess sometimes
conform.
I'm normal.
I think you're a lot more normal than I am.
I believe so.
Yes.
Definitely.
But we love everyone here. Everyone. Except for
There's
Zach
your
Baggins.
question.
Oh, yeah, I read about this earlier.
Oh, do you know when your interview in Rolling Stone will be in newsdays? I have no idea. I don't even know if it's actually going to be in the print magazine. It's more than likely going to be online, but it might be behind a paywall. But I already talked to him, and he's going to update me. It was a really good conversation. Honestly, he reached out because this particular journalist he's been doing a couple articles on a missing person case from 50 years ago, where a second psychic, so there were two psychics that were involved with this case. And he wanted to know a little bit more about psychics and how they operate, how they can get information. And he read some scenarios by me, and we talked about it at length. I think we were on the phone for a good hour. And I honestly think I made a good impact on him, because I mean, at several times he was like, "This is great. I'm actually learning a lot about what's going on." And then the conversation turned to comic books, because we're both nerds, and we started talking about comic books, and which is why I went out and bought comic books today, because I was like, "Oh, I gotta go see." So it was really good. I'll let you guys know, as always, like when something comes out. I'll let you guys know so you can read it, because I'm interested to see how it plays out. And on the downside, not really the downside, but he tweaked my OCD. And now I start looking into the case a little bit. And yeah, I went down a rabbit hole this afternoon.
Yeah.
What's this? Oh, I see this. So I'm gonna see if he'll let me entertain some ideas, that I have about the information. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to that. All right.
This is how a true crime podcast begins. You know that, right?
I would love. I have too much of a love for paranormal fringe topics, but I would love to be able to get into something like with unsolved mysteries, like cold cases. Something.
Oh my God, I can definitely see you doing that.
That would be. I don't want to say fun. I feel weird saying.
I know.
Fun.
I know.
It would just be. I'm not even going to describe it, because I think it's disrespectful the way I want to describe it.
Oh.
But I think I would be so intense and just so focused on it.
You'd be good at it.
I would like, because I mean, I've done it. The one time we were doing me and Ben Rafford, we were following psychic predictions on a missing person case in real time. So we had our separate cases that we were following along, and I actually participated in a search party where I went up, drove up to the location. I signed in with the state trooper, and was part of the
helping
line,
along.
sadly looking for the body. And I was there long enough, and I had like a schedule to go, because I thought I'm going to go there where they are. But looking at the information, I was like, I think, and this is weird, you put yourself in the mind of a criminal, and I'm thinking, like, if I was going to do this, I would leave the body here, and it was on my schedule to go there, but I was with the search party too long, and I had to come home. And I found out when I left, 2 boys were walking along the highway where I was going to go, and discovered the body. And
wow.
I was like, wow, that is awesome. I'm not psychic. Don't anyone even get that idea.
Yeah.
It was just based on the information. I thought, like, this is where I would go. So I kind of started doing that with this case, and we'll see. I might be taking a trip soon.
Yeah.
But all right.
Yeah, I can see it happening. He was just talking about it before we left.
I know. Before we came over here, I was like, I might take a trip. I don't know. It's not that far. It's only a couple hours. Cree, you said people think it's rude when kids question adults, but is it because they don't feel adults should be questioned by a kid, or is it the question asked?
How the
question is asked?
Yeah, that's a good distinction. In this case, it was in how the question was asked, because I knew this person. This was a friend of mine, so it wasn't somebody that was like, didn't like kids talking to them or questioning them. It was just that this friend was not accustomed to hearing something so direct about their personal beliefs, in so clearly saying they were probably pseudoscience. That was the thing that really was kind of that he felt was rude. And then in general, we had a lot of instances like that where he would say things and it would come off as rude just because he was being direct and being honest and being a kid. And he would be like, no, I don't think that's true. People would say things to him. He's like, no, I don't buy it. And people would just be like,
what? Yeah, like taken back. They just don't.
Yeah, like children don't talk that way. But it's like, well, in my house they do.
Right?
I love it. You know, I hope he holds on to that because I do exactly the same thing now.
Yeah.
But I
People
mean,
s-
that's important to get it out to these young
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
You know, like I wish there was a way or an easier way to get parents to like a meeting about it or something.
And I don't think being direct is being rude. Like being rude is just cutting someone off when they're talking, or just constantly insulting them, or making them, or talking down to them,
Right.
berating them. I don't think it's being rude to be direct, because going back to the previous example that I gave, like if you agreed with that person and said like, oh yeah, I think it's great, I saw a commercial, I thought it was great, there would be no problem. And
Mhm.
that person praising it is still being direct, is still saying
Right.
straight up what they think without filter.
Mhm.
And when your son said the opposite, but it was still direct, it was what he thought, it became rude because it was a challenge. It
Right.
wasn't because it agreed with him. And I think that's what we as a society need to get over. It's not being rude to just openly challenge and be direct. It's saying, hey, this is how I feel. And just because it doesn't agree with you, you know,
But that's, you know what, like it's almost like you're when you're taught as a kid to respect your adults.
well,
You know, like an aspect of respect is not to say no, you're wrong. You know, like,
I guess,
and
well,
this is why.
I
Can
don't
you
know.
see
Yeah.
your 5-year-old saying that to you,
Right.
or your 8-year-old saying, "Well, no, Dad, I don't believe that, and this is why." Like,
Well, see, like, yeah,
Yeah.
my smart ass would be like, all right, tell me why, bitch.
well, I know, but I mean, but you're from the
Yeah.
skeptical
Right.
side.
And-
Like
and-
a normal parent, if you wouldn't be like that,
right.
and
You're right. Yeah.
you
I
know,
hear you.
there's a line there, I guess, for you know, for the parents to
For
step
other
back,
people,
other
like, yeah,
people to step
other people
back
to step back and not be
and
used to it.
think about,
Yeah.
yeah, because
I think it's just great. I wish I would have been there for that moment. That would have been
Yeah.
great to watch. Be like, oh, he just told you.
yeah, but
There were
okay,
many of them. There were many of them. But I think, yeah, Donna, you make such a good point, which is that I think for a lot of parents, any kind of expression of disagreement is perceived as like, I'm questioning your authority as an
exactly,
adult.
exactly. That would be like one of Connor's friends at one of his birthday parties saying something to you, like, no, that's not right. And
All right, why?
yeah, but no, back then you wouldn't have said, oh, all right, why? You would have been like, who the F do you think you are? Like,
Get out.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
you're
really
right.
think
Yeah.
about it.
And
Think
like,
about it.
you're right. In back pre-skeptic days.
Yeah,
Yes,
and how many people are
you're right.
pre-skeptic?
You're right.
Everybody,
Most,
except
yeah.
except
You're
this
right.
little company that you're in.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I get it.
And
Yeah.
that's the part where the rudeness comes in. You know,
And
so
I think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
no, that's okay. I wish there was a way to get it out to just, you know, the public, the normal there it is, the normal public, like just get it out there, you know,
Yeah.
to let it be okay, you know,
Yeah.
like don't not listen to a kid because you think he's being rude. Like maybe he's got a point, you know,
Right.
like think about it.
Yeah. And I
Don't
think
dismiss them, I
yeah, and I
guess.
think for the adults that feel that way, like some of their work needs to be like telling the difference between when a kid is challenging me because they don't want to follow the rules or they don't want to
Right.
listen or they don't want to do what
Right.
they're told, and when a kid is challenging an idea that I have and
Mhm.
saying maybe it's not what you think it is. Like that kind of challenge is good and healthy and we should be encouraging it. And figuring
Right.
out how to tell those apart is like the thing that I think a lot of parents need help with.
Yes, I totally agree.
Awesome. That was a good question.
Well,
I
Yeah.
love when questions lead to such a discussion. People also like to see me and Donna bicker.
we're not bickering.
Really.
It's just the difference of thinking right
Right,
now
right.
because you are in Sometimes you're in a big skeptical bubble. And
Oh, you got a bubble?
I'm not in
I
that
am not
bubble.
a bubble boy.
I'm not in that bubble.
No.
But I see you in the bubble sometimes.
This is a boys only bubble.
No, a skeptic only bubble. It has nothing to do with boys. There's plenty of girls in your skeptical
Girls have
bubble.
germs. Girls have germs. You have cooties. It's so childish.
Was this the one I just had up?
Wayne,
No.
do you think lots of parents need to learn good parenting skills first before teaching kids critical thinking?
I think it goes hand in hand. I think parents need to go to a course. We like how to be a good mom and dad. They never have a class on that. It's like, oh, you're married, you're pregnant, you figure it out.
In certain case, it's subjective. Like, what's a good parent? Because some parents out there look at us and say we're bad parents.
I don't want to be a good parent just to have a class on parenting. What do I do with this baby? How do I teach it?
What do I do with this thing? Where do the batteries go? I don't know.
Exactly. I mean,
why is it leaking?
It has to go back to that point.
Oh, he's froze.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean I know what you mean. I think basic parenting, like how to take care of a child, would be a good class for people to take. But when it comes to
I'm not saying care. I mean, like when they're 5 and 6 and 7, when they're like that's when the parents need the help with like how do I raise a child to think critically.
Well, I think the problem is not everyone wants to do that. And that's apparent when apparent. It's apparent from the beginning of the conversation when he was talking about like the arguments he was getting from parent groups. They didn't want to. So like there he is.
Hey, welcome back.
We're going at it again.
I'm just in time.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. No, wait, put that question back up. He didn't get a chance to answer.
Hold on.
We took over.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
There you go.
Do you think lots of parents need to learn good parenting skills first before teaching kids critical thinking?
I think that they actually do go hand in hand. Like Donna was saying, I think, a lot of the thing about like good parenting is that it's a constantly moving target because your kid's development is constantly changing, right? So what their fundamental needs are constantly evolving. Like when they're babies, their fundamental needs are, you got to hold them, feed them, make sure that you take care of all their basic needs. But as they get older, like what's good changes dramatically, really fast. So, as you are becoming a good parent, the moment you become a good parent, you become automatically a really sucky parent at the next stage of development.
Right.
So it's constantly like a learning thing. But when it comes to teaching kids critical thinking, that's something that, if you are a skeptical person and you value critical thinking yourself, the moment that they start talking, is you can be modeling good questions immediately. They'll hit you with the why and the how questions, those nice toddler Socratic questions right away. And as soon as that starts happening, the whole thing is critical thinking, the door swings wide open and you can start teaching that. But why? But why?
But why?
But why?
Remember those days?
Oh, I got to like 3 or 4 whys, and I'm like, you know what? Just stop. Stop.
But they want to learn.
I know.
Like they want to know that.
Yeah. All right. How we doing? At the end here.
We're pretty good. A lot of these are kind of just for you.
We can get through them real quick. Honey, have you ever thought of if ghosts were real, why would they need to travel from their realm to ours? I have no idea. I have not gotten that far yet. To be honest, like my thinking centers more on the next case that claims that they're real and what the details and claims are and do they apply. So I go that far, getting into like if they are in a different realm or not. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. So maybe one day I'll sit and think about it, but I don't have an answer for you right now, Carl. Sorry.
And Carl's got one more question for you.
What's your been proudest moment you've had in work? Proudest moment was when my arch rival, Nicole, came into my office to steal my Nerf darts that I have in here. That I have a stockpile that I bought. I bought an entire thing of like
it's 500. I think it's 500 darts.
Yeah, 500
because I bought it. I bought it.
This thing.
Yeah.
All right. This thing. She came into my office to steal them, and she was standing at the desk loading it up, and I shot from way out the door. Way out that door in the hallway. And got a pinpoint shot, boom, right through and I had a camera set up, so I have the video
of the dart hitting her in the
moment,
head.
like boom, and she just starts laughing, and I'm like, oh yeah, did I get it in your eye? No, good. Proudest moment. Anyway, all right, are we good? Are we good to go? All right,
that's
cool. All right. So we are at we're at the end of the show. People, if they want to get more information about you, they can go to where?
They can go to my website, raisingaskepticalkid.com, or they can find me on Facebook at Raising a Skeptical Kid.
Okay, cool.
Just look for Dr. Dad.
Buy the books, Beyond Belief. Buy them. Like I said, there was I'm going to put this link back in. There you go.
There you go. He's got them.
This is the zombie one. This is the ghost one, the Phantom of Hiding.
So in the chat, I just put the link to the rebook. That's
the original one. That's the original one, and that's the character based on James Randi.
Yes, that is awesome. That is, and I am totally going to tell everyone that the little kid is based on me. I know it's based on your son, but I'm going to say it's based on me. So I did put the link in for the free story. So if you want to check it out and get a feel for the story that he writes, go check it out. And I guarantee you're going to be hooked. And if you're not, it's not my fault. It's your fault. But not you, Dr. Dad. It's anyway, go read it. It's a great story for kids and adults, and then buy the rest of the books because I think it's a really good resource. And with that, I think we're good. I will say I do have announcements. Let me see. So coming up on January 31st and February 1st, I will be in Hanover, Virginia. I'll be at the Hanover Tavern Paracon with Dave Schumacher and Tim Vickers, my Three Tortured Souls co-hosts. We're going to be down there representing. I'm not sure what we're presenting yet. I haven't written the presentation, but we're going to be talking and spending the whole weekend at the conference. So come out and see us if you can. And then I think that's it for a little bit. I know in May 17th, we're going to be at Pennhurst. So check that out. And then June 13th and 14th, I'll be in Grafton, West Virginia for the Grafton Monster Festival. I'm looking forward to that. It's all fancy and stuff. We gotta talk about that a little bit more because they actually went to the township and got money. Like the township is on board with them. They weren't on board with them the first year.
Oh, okay.
But they're on board with them now because like tourists and tourist money. The township likes that kind of stuff.
No, I'm sure.
So with that, yeah, you stick around for a minute or so after the outro video. Everyone else, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. And remember, never stop learning. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, diddle diddle, here's a little riddle. Who's the best debunker is a Kenny Biddle? Oh, he's good, not just a little. Not at the bottom or even the middle. Strike a chord like a fiddle. Tasting the rainbow like a skill that's fragile and brittle. You can watch him take a problem and start to riddle the problem away. He does not play. He takes his job so seriously. He loves a challenge and won't turn you away. He's such a skeptic, he keeps those believers exposing the fake. It wouldn't take him long to find a needle in hay. Use a magnet, damn it. Now take a drink of Kenny's specialty. Someone may say that's not for me. To each their own, what will be. Man, Kenny's such a skeptic, drinking skeptical tea. Like and subscribe, everybody turn notifications on. And go watch his show and forget about this song. Mr. Wizard or Bill Nye the Science Guy. Can you remember? You like Kenny better, so head to the Skeptical Help Bar and meet the bartender. Pick up a drink and relax, cause nobody does this better. Not even close, not even a little. He's the one and only Kenny Biddle.